I don't know of anybody who has actually outwardly given this information for free on a podcast or anywhere like that. The amount of value that's in here. Do you have any idea how many thousands upon thousands of dollars that we've spent on online courses to be able to get access to variants of these types of ideas?
So what are the key components to marketing and sales? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders set up freedom frameworks that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do Rockstar entrepreneurs and business leaders with that champion mindset align their time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Chamberlain. This is the Convert on Command podcast. Thanks for listening to the Convert on Command podcast, sponsored by Convert on Command and Mission Ignition Marketing. If you want to ignite your business and increase your sales, be sure to visit convertoncommand.pro and set up a time that works best for you in the calendar at the bottom of the page under the latest feature video.
Welcome to the Convert on Command podcast, and man, are you ever in for a treat. This is literally, what is this? This is podcast number, I can't remember which number it is right now, but what I do know is that this is chapter number 12 in the book Passion to Profits. We have officially wrote the first draft of our book, what is going to be a best-selling book in the first quarter of 2022. Hooray, man, this is a huge day. And are you ever in for a treat? Because we are talking about in this chapter how to scale with online advertising. And my partner, Mr. Zach Shanke, is going to be unpacking this week. I did last week, so we kind of trade back and forth. If this is the first time that you're listening to this podcast, we've been trading back and forth. And if this is the first time that you've been listening to this podcast, well, guess what? You just need to understand that we are literally teaching people how to turn their passion into profits. And in this book, you get to learn what you need to do and why you need to do it within these 12 chapters. We've been doing it over 12 weeks. We've got over 20 inner circle group members that we're literally teaching and helping them through the trenches of their journey. And we're writing a draft a quarter. And every season, we're going into more depth with this group and helping them in how to back engineer it and how to turn their passion into profits, even if they have no idea where to start, how to drive more impact and income. So we're super fired up. We're going to dive into how you can become a member of that at the end of today's podcast hangout session. But let's dive right into it. Mr. Zach Shanke, my man, my brother from another mother, the boss of bosses. How are you?
I'm good. You're the boss of bosses, my friend. But I'm doing good. I'm stoked. This book has already for these few people that we have in our inner circle group, it's already making such a big impact. I mean, some of them have actually chosen to they didn't even know what their passion was at the beginning. And then all of a sudden, now we've got someone that's helping people with traumatic experiences. We've got someone that's helping people create a better childhood for their children. We've got some people in there that have these amazing passions, and they're finally learning how to turn that idea or that passion into not only profit, but into impact and actually helping people in the world, which as a direct result equals profits.
Yeah. Okay. Passion and purpose-driven success, which the natural outcome is something fruit-filled, right? Yeah. Fruit-filled from, without getting overly spiritual, from a spirit, fruit-filled from the spirit. And then also, you Yeah, it's exciting because
It's amazing.
we get to do that. Okay. Like for us doing this book and working with this inner circle group and doing what we love with the people we love most has been instrumental in our lives and in the lives of our families. Like we literally get to, like Zach here, I get to work with him every week and to be creative and to build campaigns for companies all over the world and to literally help people do the same thing for themselves and creating more of a sense of freedom, again, to do more of the things that you love with the people you love most. And that I love doing what we're doing, and I love doing what we're doing with Zach and all the people that we're doing it with. So it's just a testament to this whole movement. So we're just an honor to have you here.
Well, thank you. And it's so fun. This is like, I've never written a book before, everybody. It's my first book, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's kind of stressful. I usually don't start writing until Saturday, and then we do the recording on Sunday. So I write my chapters in 2 days, and so that's a little stressful sometimes. But at the same time, once I get the flow going, I'm like, man, this is great. I can't wait to put more in here. And anyway,
Totally. Yeah, I'm with you. And yeah, this is my second book actually. And I've been very much the same, kind of starting with a little bit of a rough outline and really, really unpacking it in one day. And like you said, it can be overwhelming at first, like, oh, what do I get? But once you get started, it grabs momentum. So yeah,
it does.
Totally love it.
Yeah, and it's super fun. Super fun. So
Yeah.
chapter 12. Scaling with ads. Oh my gosh. This is my jam. I love this stuff. Okay. So before diving into the beautiful world of paid ads, I feel the need to congratulate you. I've coached a lot of people with their business and with their marketing, and it's always fascinating to me to see how few people actually take the action steps to success. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's true, right? Like, there's so few people that actually do it. The fact that you made it this far means that you're not normal, but extraordinary. You are one of the few willing to do what it takes to achieve more impact and joy in life. You will grow to inspire others just as you inspire me and my partner, Brian. Let's recap this book up to this point. In the beginning, you focused on your mindset, heart set, and identity. You then incorporated all of that into a mission, vision, and value statement. That MVV will direct your business and future businesses for the rest of your life. From there, we started to take your passion and help you identify ways it can be used to solve other people's problems so that it can be monetized. We packaged together an ideal avatar, a message, some copywriting, an offer, and a marketing strategy. We then took those assets. Sorry if you can hear my family in the background.
No apology needed. I love it.
Give me one.
Case in point. Give
me 1 second. I'm just going to tell them that I'm recording.
Yeah. Case in point, man. Doing what you love with who you love most.
All right. I'm back. So where was I? In the beginning, right. The MVV will direct you. Good. Okay. So from there, we started to take your passion and help you identify ways that you can solve other people's problems so that it can be monetized. We packaged together an ideal avatar, a message, copywriting, an offer, and a marketing strategy. We then took those assets and explained how you can prove the concept for free to see if it's ready for this chapter. How can you tell if it's ready for ads? Simple. If people spent actual money on the product or service, it's ready for ads. If the concept has not yet been proven, we recommend talking with those who said no and finding out why. Then you simply take those objections and you somehow incorporate them into your message or offer. Then try organic methods again. Keep working on that process until people actually spend money on your passion. Once that's complete, come back to this chapter and let's work on sending your message out to the masses. Okay, there's our recap. So, paid traffic. Now that the concept is proven, it's time to grow exponentially. Brian and I see it all the time out there where people specifically focus on organic and only organic. They say they don't need to move to paid traffic because organic just works. That's foolish. Organic is limited by time and people. If you want the day off, go on vacation, or if you get sick for a day, no one is putting in the work to generate that organic traffic. Paid traffic runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't need a vacation. You can choose how much or how little you want to flow in at any given point in time. As of the time I'm writing this book, paid traffic can come from a huge variety of platforms: Facebook, Google, Bing, YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and more. They are all good at providing a certain kind of traffic, but our focus was always on Facebook and Instagram, which is the same company. Why? It's called push marketing, while something like Google is called pull marketing. Push marketing is when you push content in front of people to see if they're interested or not. In the world of social media, you have between 3 to 6 seconds to catch their attention. Pull marketing is where someone is literally searching for a thing. So if you're a plumber and someone searches on Google for plumbers near me, you want your service to be at the top. Both strategies work, but we have way more control over push marketing. Waiting or hoping for someone to search my keywords is just not something I'm very interested in. Please note that that's been our experience, and that there are people that can make it work. We just believe and have experience that our push strategies are more effective. Everything you've done up to this point with your Freedom Map and base copy is designed to get people's attention through push strategies. The hard work is already done. All that's left is honing in on the message. Phase 1, pro testing. Now that you'll be sharing your ad with thousands of people per day, there may be variables with the message you've already outlined in the first 11 chapters. We're going to be speaking specifically to Facebook ads for the remainder of this chapter, but please look at the concepts that we're doing here. The concept of the pro test can apply to any advertising platform. Facebook just makes it super easy. The greatest items to identify when running paid ads are the greatest pain, result, and objection your audience is experiencing. So number 1, pain. What is the greatest pain your clients are feeling? Number 2, result. What is the greatest result they desire to achieve? And number 3, objection. What's the biggest question or elephant in the room that needs to be overcome in order for them to take the next steps? Go back to your Freedom app and you'll see you already did this part. Here's what we noted for ABC supplement. So we have our little diagram here. Here's our 3 pains, 3 results, 3 different objections. You'll also need to note the why from your Freedom map. It's also in your Freedom app. So for ABC supplement, the why was to have enough energy for the kids and spouse after working all day. With this information, we can move into setting up the following steps of our pro test. So step 1 is to test the pain. Step 2, test the result. Step 3, test the objection. Okay. With me so far, Brian?
I'm loving it. I'm keeping super quiet because I know I would normally chime in and stuff, but I'm honed in 110% with you. Yeah. I'm good. Right here. I'm reading as you are reading. This is good.
Perfect.
Grab a pen and paper, y'all. Okay.
So step 1, pain. In order to test out our 3 different pains, we'll be using this formula. How we go from pain to why. Okay. And guess what? You already did this as well. So look at your Freedom app and you'll see the pain headlines are already done. By plugging in our pain and our why into that formula, we end up with the following 3 headlines for ABC supplement. And if you guys look at chapter 7, you'll see that this is actually already in the Freedom map we did for ABC supplement. So how we go from pain to why, right? How we go from being overweight, that's the pain, to having enough energy with our kids. Or how I go from feeling gross every time I look in the mirror, that's the pain, to having more than enough energy with my kids. I guess I changed that part a little bit. This should say.
And okay, this is where I do kind of want to chime in a bit because I know that I'm not noticing necessarily does it matter? Because all you are trying to do is get the first pain, but would it matter to get the congruency between the first pain to the why. So like
Yes.
feeling.
They should be the Y in each of these. So whatever comes after the two, that Y should be exactly the same in all three.
Right. But the reason why I ask is that it kind of seems like the pain in number 2 is a little bit different than the end result, right? Or the why, if you will. So like
I gotcha.
how I go from feeling gross every time I look in the mirror to having enough energy with my kids, it doesn't really speak to
Doesn't correlate.
Yeah.
It ultimately doesn't matter.
Okay.
So good. That's a good point.
Is there a reason why it doesn't matter? Like, would that kind of do something with the click-through rates anyways? And by the way, y'all, for click-through rates, that's what we're looking for right here, right now, is we're looking for the winner for the most amount of people clicking on this. And when you get to see those behaviors, then you know, okay, well, this one is the hottest one. And so we're going to get into that, I'm guessing, but
all of your questions will be answered.
Yes.
So far. Okay. All right. So then the third one here is how we go from having no real time to focus on my health to having enough energy with our kids. Okay. So notice that the back half of those headlines are exactly identical. That's on purpose and is crucial for the pain test. By making the back half exactly the same, the only change is the literal pain on the first half of those headlines. So when we run 3 ads, one for each of those headlines, any information we get from the data will be in response to that first portion, and that's the only variable. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
Okay. Once you have those headlines done, you have to find an image to use. So the image is important, but we'll be testing more images later. So for now, you just want to use the same image on all 3 ads, and it should have something to do with those headlines. Here's an example of something simple I would use with this one. Okay.
That's a good picture. That would get my attention.
It's simple. It's kind of generic, you know.
And for those of you that are watching on the or listening on the podcast right now through like wherever you're listening to this to, and you're not actually seeing what's on screen, the screen here says it's a guy stepping on a scale, and the number literally spells help. So good. Yeah.
So is this the greatest image? No, I don't think so, but that's kind of what I like to use for the entire protest model. See, the picture is a bit generic, so it's going to fit all 3 headlines. Again, this image at this stage is not what's important. We are not expecting great leads or anything with this test. We're only seeing if which of the 3 panes gets a greater response. So now you have the headline and you have an image. The last step is what's known as the below creative headline. Yes, there are 2 headlines in Facebook advertising. The one we wrote will appear above the picture we chose. Images and videos and marketing in the marketing world are called creatives, okay, because we're going to be using that term. But there's also a much shorter one below the creative. So here's the formula for the below creative headline. Freedom from pain, just some generic pain. Okay, so again, this is not the focus.
Before we get into that, can we talk really quickly about the below and the there are typically, when it comes to Facebook advertising, because we are specifically talking about Facebook advertising right now, because it's the best push. It is the absolute best push platform right now as we are writing this book. Will that change at some point? Possibly. Sure. Maybe not. We'll see. But it is the absolute best push model right now. Okay, so let's talk about like what happens with these elements that we're talking about between the creative, which is the photo or the video that you end up using, to the below creative headline, and then the actual headline. What is typically the behavior of a person who's scrolling through Facebook? What is the steps that they normally do? What's the first thing that they see?
The first thing they see is the picture.
The picture, which will lead them to read the
below
creative headline, to then read the actual headline, and then to click to see more to read the copy.
Right.
Those are the 4 steps that you're driving for right here, right now. And this is really important because this is how we're identifying what the best combination is for those steps to occur more frequently.
Right. But again, for the pro test, that combo and how those things work together is almost irrelevant. The most important part is just that the pain is the only difference, because we could have terrible data on all three of these. It doesn't matter. We just want to know which one is beating the other two.
But ultimately, this is what we're getting to as an end result. That's
Yes.
what our hope is, right? So like
Yes.
we were getting the protest because ultimately the protest is to get the actual headline, which is step number 3 in that process that we just talked about.
Right.
Because step 1 is going to be, but you have a whole new testing process on how to get to the actual creative later. But it is the words ultimately that is going to inspire people to action. So we need to get the words down pat.
And those words that ultimately end up as the winner will actually help to dictate the other parts. Okay, like the images that you ultimately choose to work with, or the below creative headline. So yeah, I agree. So the first step is just to have something like this: freedom from generic pain. Again, this is not the focus. It needs to be generic. So here's what I would do for ABC supplement: freedom from exhaustion. Something simple. Now, to put all those elements into the actual Facebook interface, we'll have a video explaining this part, but you can also literally find it on YouTube. Okay, like you can search how do you make a Facebook ad on YouTube. You'll find something. There are specific things though that I like to do, and we'll have our own video training on that as well. The Facebook interface changes every 6 months or so. So it doesn't make sense to have that part in the book. The end result will look like this. And there we have 3 ads, exactly identical, except for the pain at the beginning of the headlines. So see how they are exactly identical except for the first part of the headline? That's what we're looking for. From there, you run each of those ads for $30 total. So we like to spend $15 per day for each one of those, so a total of $45 a day. And we go for 2 days before we choose a winner. So how do you determine a winner? You just have to look at one metric. It's called CTR all. And what it stands for is click-through rate all. Basically, it measures how many people clicked anything on your ad. The ad that has the highest CTR all is the pain winner. Okay? Which takes us to step 2, result. Step 1 might have been a little bit much. Okay, first time going through this Facebook ad stuff, it might have been a little crazy. But now that you have that down, the rest of these are going to be much easier to understand. We're going to use the same creative and the same headline. We're only going to
we're only gonna hello, you still with us? Oh boy, hopefully this doesn't kick off. I'm hoping that this stays with us and we don't fall off. Yo. It looks like Zach might have a bad connection.
Of creative headlines.
All right. Are you still with us? You fell off there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go internet. Woohoo.
Yeah. Was that your internet? I thought, yeah.
It was my internet.
Okay. I'll let you keep cruising. Sorry. Hey, a little bit of technical difficulties, but here we are. Let's keep cruising.
Yeah. What's interesting is my computer. Oh, there it goes. My computer was still saying that I didn't have internet. What the crap? All right.
Yeah.
Let's pull this back up. Where did I leave off?
So where we honestly were would have been, it might have been a bit much, but now we have that down. The rest will be much easier to understand. We're going to use, I think that's a good place to start as step number 2, because we did cover that it's called CTR all, and that what stands for click-through rate all, basically measures, and that is the highest pain winner.
Okay.
So now we're moving on to the next step. Yeah.
Okay, so for step 2, we're going to use the same creative and the same below creative headline. We're just going to adjust the above creative headline based on the data from step 1. So let's just say pain 3 was the winner. So that headline was how we go from having no real time to focus on my health to having enough energy with our kids. Okay. We then use the pain part. Of course, now there's a baby screaming in the background.
That's more than okay, man. Like, that's part of the fun.
Good times. So we then use the pain part of that headline, and we plug it into the following formula. So how we go from pain to result. Okay, so we're using the same pain for all of this, which is this right here, this part.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just changing out the Y from the last test to result instead. So here's what that would look like. So how we go from having no real time to focus on my health to finally losing weight for good. Okay, that's the result. And then how we go from having no real time to focus on my health to having enough energy at the end of the day to help my wife and play with my kids. How we go from having no real time to focus on my health to feeling confident with the way I look. Okay. See how the beginning parts are all the same. It's the winning pain. But the back half are the 3 different results that we're going to be testing. So you run the 3 ads exactly the same way you just did the pain test. So you can see they're all exactly the same. The only difference is the result on the back half. Based on the CTR all, you'll be able to see which one people are responding to the most. Okay, same thing. Whatever has the highest CTR all is the winner. Very, very basic. Step 3, objection. This is really when things start to get interesting. The objection testing is going to be a bit different, and you may finally start to see results from this one. We're going to use the same creative and below creative headlines again. We're also going to create 3 new headlines for above creative headline, but there's a caveat to be aware of with these. Length. Okay. If you notice in the results test, result 2 was pretty long. Okay. If we go back up here, result 2 covers all 3 lines here. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's pretty long. We have to make sure that the headline fits within 2.5 lines of the ad, or at least most of it. So the easiest way to do this is to write your headlines in a Google Doc at size 22 font. That will simulate the space on a phone with the Facebook app. So I'll show you the formula and write out the new headlines in size 22 font. Let's say result 2 was the winner, which is the longer headline. So here's the formula. How we go from pain to result without objection. Sometimes it's okay to substitute without with even if. Excuse me. So here's what we get. See how long these are? So how we go from having no real time to focus on my health to having enough energy at the end of the day to help my wife and play with my kids without spending hours in the gym every week. And then the next one just has without doubling my grocery bill on healthy foods. And then the last one, even if nothing else worked for me.
Right.
And that should actually be for me in the past, I think. So now, do those fit within 2.5 lines? No. So I have to figure out a way to shorten the result part while still talking about the result. So here's what I would do. Okay, you got to shorten it, which does make the copy a little bit less intriguing, but we need to make sure it fits. So how we go from having no time to focus on my health to having energy to play with my kids without spending hours in the gym every week. Okay, so I took the wife part out of there. And that might be something else that we would have to test. How we go from having no time to focus on my health to having energy to play with my kids without doubling my grocery bill on unhealthy foods. And then obviously the last one, even if nothing else worked for me in the past. Okay. So you can see not all of them fit. Not all of them fit within those 2.5 lines still. However, I was able to fit without blank in there. And so that's
because then they're going to see more, and that without part is going to get them to like,
Yeah.
you know, if they were intrigued before, they're going to be even more triggered to want to start
Right.
clicking
So
and reading more.
they'll see what they're going to see here. And the first one is without spending hours, dot, dot, dot. Right. And they're going to be like, oh, spending hours, what? Or without doubling my grocery, dot, dot, dot. And they're going to be like, yeah, okay. They get the gist. Right.
Yeah.
That'll be enough to drive curiosity to click on more. Now that we have the 3 headlines, we're not quite done. We are also going to run our base copy with these ads. So on each of these ads, they will have the headlines above we just wrote, plus the whole base copy underneath. Here's what that would look like. Okay. So you can see now we have little see more link here. And so, but you can see that we can actually see, even if nothing else worked for me, dot, 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 right? Or doubling my grocery bill.
Again, that headline, that's enough to be like, my antenna's up and I want to read more, right? See more, read more. So yeah, as you're diving into it here. So good.
So now there's a see more link after the headline. Based on our pain and result tests, chances are very high that they will click that link to read the rest of that copy. Analyzing for the objection winner is also slightly different. We're still looking at which ad provides the highest CTR all, but there are exceptions. There are 2 other metrics to look into here. One is called the CTR link click-through rate, and the other one, which I'll refer to as CTR link, okay, just for not having to say link click-through rate every time. Okay, so CTR link, and the other is whatever the next step is for your audience. So if you're looking for leads, the other metric to look for is leads. If you're looking for sales, the other one is purchases, okay? You would pick the objection winner even if the CTR all is not the highest if, number 1, you get sales off a lower one, or number 2, the highest one has the worst results beyond the first click. Okay, so like CTR all is kind of like the first thing you look at, but there's exceptions. So one of those exceptions is if you get a sale from one that isn't the winner in the CTR all category, or if the one that does have the highest CTR all, it has terrible results beyond that with the link, the CTR link and the purchases. Okay. Let me give you a couple of examples. Let's just say we're going for purchases for ABC supplement. And let's say that these were the results of my objection test.
And so we have look, this I just want to stop really quick here because this is important. Okay. This part is what separates the winners, and I don't want to say losers, but the ones who are constantly going to be, running around in circles trying to figure out where to go with their ads and not understanding why it's not working. These numbers is what's going to allow you to make the proper decisions. And also, these numbers should also help you identify where in the funnel you need to spend your energy to fix. So certain numbers, and we'll probably get, I don't know if Zach goes into this coming up next, but these numbers will tell you, okay, front end's doing good, middle needs help. Okay. Like little things like that, like where, okay, the traffic's getting to this point. Oh, they're stuck here. Oh, this traffic on the front end ain't doing so hot based on this number. We need to adjust something on the front end so we can get more traffic to the second step.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is so important in creating a successful campaign. So I'm gonna let you keep cruising here.
And I'll tell you what though, most of the time, this is so much more straightforward than the example I'm showing, because this example is probably the most complicated example I could think of. And this happens, but it's not the usual. Usually it's easier than this, but I figured I'll show you the hardest case scenario. So in this case, objection 1 has a CTR all of 4.12. The link CTR all is CTR link is 1.98, and then they got 1 purchase from it.
That's almost a 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, looks great. But then objection 2 has a higher CTR all 5.5, has a lower CTR link, 1.52, purchases 0. And then objection 3, even higher CTR all, 7.82, CTR link 3.21, 0 purchases.
And that's actually close to a 2 to 1
Yeah.
ratio is there too. So you got two very close to 2 to 1 ratios, which is what you're looking for. Can you break down what a 2 to 1 ratio is? Oh,
That's the next step.
You're about to go to.
So
yeah, here we go.
You're on the right step. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we were just looking at CTR all, objection 3 would be the winner. However, there are 2 more things to consider. One is the ratio between CTR all and CTR link. We want something as close to 2 as possible. I should say 2 to 1. So take the CTR all, 4.12, divide it by the CTR link, 1.98, and you get your ratio number. And that's what we want to be close to 2. So in this case, here's the ratios. Objection 1 is at 2.08 to 1. Okay, that's really good. Objection 2, 3.62. That's not so good. And objection 3 is 2.44. Not bad. That's actually not bad. It is close to 2 as possible. If you're within the 2 point something, it's typically pretty good. So based on that, I would rule out objection 2. The ratio is just way further from 2 than the other ones. If the ratio is below 2, that's the worst you can get, and it should be turned off right away. So what that would do is if this was 5.5 and then this one was 5, that would be less than a 2 for ratio, and that would just be, that's the worst. Okay. And you know what? I don't actually explain why in here. And I think that's important to know, to understand. So I'm going to make a comment real quick. Explain why.
Yeah. And coach us through that part. Definitely unpack.
I'll do it right now here on the podcast, but yeah, I'll unpack it more in the chapter.
Yeah.
In the future draft. But so
Sure.
here's what that means. What are these CTR all, CTR link? What's the difference? Okay. CTR all is literally if they click on anything on your ad. So if we go back up to the picture, if they click on see more, guess what? That's clicking on the ad. That counts as a CTR all. If they click learn more, that's clicking on the link. Okay, those are the 2 different clicks. The thing is, though, is if they click on the link, it also counts as a CTR all because it's all the clicks. So if they click see more, that's 1 CTR all. And then they click the link, that's 2 CTR alls, but only 1 link click, 2 to 1 ratio. Okay, so what that means is that every person that wants to read the ad, they actually go ahead and click the link as well. That's the idea.
And this is why long copy is so important.
Yes.
So important. So so the ratio here is important because the people that are actually engaging with the ad are actually going through the steps.
Exactly.
And I thought for some reason, and I'm glad you clarified that, because I thought for some reason it was like, 2 to 1, meaning for every however many clicks. Like I was just thinking, okay, 1 out of 2 people would basically be going on to the next step. But this is literally like for everybody that engages with the ad and actually clicks on anything is actually going on to the next step.
Yes. That's how you know your message is on point. And your audience is probably on point as well.
Right. And if that's not on point, there could be things, and I don't know if you're getting into this, where you got a message to market.
You know what?
Incongruency.
I don't. Maybe we ought to have like a bonus troubleshooting or something chapter or something.
Yeah.
I don't have the scenario where what if all of these were at 1, and you're not getting that ratio? What does that mean?
Well, that's definitely for the inner. I think that's definitely for the inner circle group. We can go into deeper training on that for sure. Because again, what are we doing here in this book? We're showing you what we do and why we do it. And the how is for your inner circle group. You want to learn how to do this stuff? We're going to be tackling all of this in the inner circle group, in the courses, in our training.
Yep.
Like that's what this is. That's why you want to come hang out with us in the inner circle group.
Yes.
Right. That's so important, right? Like any really great marketing, and you need to apply this in your business. Like, not to go too far off on a tangent here, you need to be applying this in your business as well. Put out content. We talked about it in the last chapter. Basically, we're not charging for information. We charge for implementation, right? We're not charging for information. We're charging for implementation. So we're going to tell you, and it's really simple, what we do and why we do it. Keep on teaching people what we do. Here's what we do. Here's why we do it. Here's what we do. Here's why we do it. You want to learn how, or you want me to do it for you to cover the how? Awesome. Let's move forward. Here's the link. Here's how you do it.
Yep.
Real quick.
And to be fair, like, because of all the research we did in chapter 7, and we already had most of the stuff already prepared and ready to go, chances of you getting like a terrible, like below 2 ratio here is very slim. I don't think we've ever actually experienced that for the O test, for the objection test. So, but still, during your testing, I guarantee you are going to have challenges. You are going to need to know what the numbers all mean and how to fix it. So now we have, so I would rule out objection 2, cut it. Okay. So now we have objection 1 and 3 left. Which one should win?
Thanks for listening to the Convert on Command podcast, sponsored by Convert on Command and Mission Ignition Marketing. If you want to ignite your business and increase your sales, be sure to visit convertoncommand.pro and set up a time that works best for you in the calendar at the bottom of the page under the latest feature video.
Well, objection 1 has a better ratio and even has a purchase. However, I don't count the purchase if there's just one, because it could just be a fluke. In this example, I would let objections 1 and 3 run another 2 days to see if that trend continues towards objection 1. And you know what? I didn't put it in here, but basically objection 3 has the highest click rates in general. So that's something that we can't ignore. Okay. So like if we look at this chart, the ratios are about even. They're both around 2. But this one, these numbers are higher, which means it's more volume of traffic coming in for the same amount of money.
Could it be that there's more of an elephant in the room that would need to be addressed in that one, if that was the case? Because it's like, oh man, this is really piquing people, but it's just not getting them to take action.
I don't know. That's why I don't count the one purchase as the winner necessarily. If there was 2 purchases, I would for sure take that one in a heartbeat.
Right.
So I would let it go another 2 days, and if objection 1 gets another purchase and objection 3 gets no purchase, then boom, like there we go. Then objection 1 would still be the winner. So let's see. In this example, I would let them run for another 2 days. That example is just about as complicated as I can get with analytics. Okay, most of the time you have a clear winner across the board. But that concludes your pro test phase. In total, this test usually takes 6 days. In this crazy example, I would have let the objection test run an extra 2 days for a total of 8 days. Okay, that's what you can expect from phase 1 of ads.
And so it's important to understand too, like, look, you're looking at this $45, like being willing to spend up to $50 a day in your testing phase, and being okay with not getting anything from it as well.
Yeah, that's $200. It's $270 just for the pro test.
Yeah. And I mean, like, look, man, like this is very conservative in terms of testing and money being put into something. Like, that's not a lot in comparison to a lot of ads.
Well,
like,
you know what we found though is it actually saves a ton of money. Totally. Because it's so focused, and you get those 3 elements on point within 6 days. Otherwise, what most people do if they don't know about this kind of strategy, they just throw crap at a wall and they just hope. And it takes months to try to figure this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine spending $900 a month, which is typically our smallest price point, $900 a month for 3 months. That's a lot more expensive than 270 in 6 days.
No, I agree 110%. And so, but it's just important for you to understand, like everybody that's in this right now, that you've got to be willing to invest.
Yes.
To get the data, to get the results. And, like the advertising is not for the faint of heart. When you run your first ad, I promise you're going to feel really anxious. You're going to feel really nervous. You're going to feel.
You're going to check it every 2 minutes.
Feel. Oh yeah. And checking it every 2 minutes. I used to do that all the time, man. Like, and
I
it's
still do
like,
sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes. I mean, it can be nerve wracking. It's not for the faint of heart, man. Like it's one of those things where
I kind of feel like you almost have to be, when you're looking at your data, think of like data analytics, robots, cold heart. Okay. Like you're just emotionless. That's how you have to look at these things. Okay. So if you have bad numbers, it doesn't mean that your copy sucks. It doesn't mean that at all. It could mean that it's a bad audience. Okay. Like it doesn't have any reflection on your identity as a person. Okay. Like if you have been, listen, I've been doing marketing a long time. I still get ads that'll have a bad number. And then I'm like, dang it. What's wrong with this thing? And I don't attach it to me. I don't then call myself a terrible marketer or like, why are you even doing this in your life? Like, no, it's like, okay, this is what the data is telling me. How do I fix it? And it's that kind of cold-hearted logic that needs to go into this kind of thing.
I love that. So like, I know we're talking a lot about turning your passion into profits. This is the part where you need to put a stone cold killer heart on this thing. like you said, there needs to be a certain level of this part of the business being emotionless as mentioned. And yeah, no, I feel that 110%, because even I, like, our results, like, and that's also why we went through the first half of the book being like who you are, what you want to do, why you want to do it, and then how to back engineer, because these are the challenges that you're going to face. And when you come across these challenges, like we talked about it, the bigger the pain, the bigger the payoff, the bigger the problem, the bigger the payoff. And so ultimately, like, there is so much potential for payoff, but you're gonna have to get onto the other side of that challenge. And how do you get onto the other side of that challenge if you're beating yourself up? And like Zach said, throwing your identity into some type of result, you have to look at this objectively and look at it with the lens of simply it's data. Like we've even just in the last little bit, we've had a couple of ads that haven't necessarily been going exactly the way, but when we look at it in the big picture, it's still awesome. And like, and then there are times when like, okay, we're looking at it like, damn, this is awesome. And then like some of our clients are a little bit more spoiled, and they're like, and so we're like, how, like, we just brought your ad cost down from $90 per lead to between $25 to $45. How in heaven's name could you be unhappy about that? Right. And so then now you have to have another layer of like, my identity is not in your, like your displeasure with this. We're killing it over here. You're just not, for some reason, happy about it. It doesn't make any sense, right? So it's like, you'll have that happen. And that's why your mission, vision, and values are so important. You don't put your stock in what necessarily other people think of you, with the numbers, or like, yes, in business, do you need to look at the numbers? Do you need to look at the cash flow? That's an important thing. But ultimately, it shouldn't be your only driver in your decisions. And so,
and what's also cool here, guys, business is not a fast process. Okay. Like this whole 12 steps, 12 chapters to turn your passion into profit. That's fantastic. And are you going to make money? Yeah. If you implement everything, you will. But is it going to be millions of dollars? No. It could.
Maybe,
I'm not saying it won't.
maybe, but yeah, we're not here trying to sell you get rich quick. And
No.
if we, like, a lot of people would do that with one thing, like just one thing, like come be a part of my multi-level marketing thing, and and it's like this, the other thing, go through all your friends and family. No, this is how you turn your passion into profits. And we've done this multiple times, not only for ourselves, but for other clients. And, you can make these things profitable, organic. Like, and again, that's why is it important to do it organically before you go over here?
If you look at, any of my own mentors that I've hired in the past, or any mentors that Brian and I have currently, if you look at their track record, it takes a couple of years, like our guy we've mentioned, Tony, a couple times, Tony Watley. So, it took him 2 years to get to the millionaire status. 2 years before
that's a light year. That's a light year in comparison to a lot of people that spend over a decade.
Yeah. I have another mentor. His name is Mark Lack. And Mark, 5 years of pain and struggle, right? Honing in these kinds of processes that we're teaching you to finally be in his thing. And he runs a show called the Rockstar Entrepreneur or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, so he has like all this stuff going on. Chris Rushlow is another one. And it took him like 5 or 10 years of struggle to like figure it out. And now he's just raking it in, right? So it's a process, and you have to be patient with yourself. Okay. Which is why
you gotta love the process, even in the pain, even in the challenges. Like we've personally had to shut things down on a few projects and start over. And the funny thing is some people would look at that as starting over. I look at it as, look how much we learned and how much faster we're going to be in the next phase.
Yeah.
I look at it as it's in a phase.
If that took us 6 months, now we're going to do the same thing in a different arena in 1 month.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're looking at right now. Literally, I can see this month is going to be a lot of fun because of the big shift, pivot, and change that we did. Anyways, don't want to go too far off kilter. It's just so important that I just wanted to take a moment to say that this is not for the faint of heart, this part. And we are literally about to launch a couple more ads for our own organization here right now. And it's based on everything that we just learned over the last 6 months. And we got a ton of really awesome successes from that. But
these processes, all the stuff that you've learned in this book, it will shortcut everything. Okay. Like for real. I mean, it's just, you guys, if you implement everything, this is exactly what took Brian and I a long time to learn. So it's a shortcut. All right. It's phase 2, dynamic run. Okay. Let's say in our protest, let's say objection 1 was the ultimate winner. That would mean that this is our official headline to run with. How we go from having no time to focus on my health to having energy to play with my kids without spending hours in the gym every week. That's our ultimate headline. To begin phase 2, I would take that pain, result, and objection and tweak my base copy to reflect those results. Okay. So you want to mention more about the no time aspect in your base copy. Just read through it and see where you can plug those in. Talk about playing with your kids more in your base copy. Then talk about how much time you normally would have to spend in the gym that you don't have to because the supplement.
That's just offering tweak the context. Copy. We need to offer the context around that.
Exactly. Then I would find 5 creatives or images and come up with 1 to 2 more below creative headlines. Facebook has this really amazing feature called dynamic ads. Basically, you give Facebook all these variations that you want to test out, and it's going to mix and match them for you and help you determine who the winner is. I found this to be the fastest path to results. Again, we'll have a video walkthrough of the actual interface and how to set that up, but the book here will talk about the testing and analytics aspects.
And we're also, by the way, there's some tracking and a whole bunch of other things that haven't been talked about in this chapter because there's so many layers to it. But we will have that as well. Like, how do you set up your pixel? How do you, And there's a sick proprietary way of doing that that we're running with that you're definitely in a treat to being able to have access to. So we're going to dive into that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. So set up a campaign using half your daily budget. Okay, so let's say your budget is $900 a month. So that's $30 a day. So our first campaign is actually going to run at $15 a day for this phase. Put your headline and base copy in there. Put in 5 creatives, 2 to 3 below creative headlines, and then hit publish. Okay, give it 2 days before you look over things. That should say before. Okay. What you can do on Facebook is you look at how each creative and BC headline, we're just going to say that instead of below creative, BC headline are performing individually, and then make a judgment call on that. Looking at those elements individually, that's actually called a breakdown. So what I do is I look at all the breakdowns at whichever element, and whichever element is the clear winner, I roll with that. Man, I got to rewrite this here. I roll with making a change to that. Okay. I'll get into an example in a moment, but it's really important to note that you should only test one thing at a time. So if you have one creative that's a clear winner and one below creative headline that's also a clear winner, you should only test one or the other first. Do not change them both. It will confuse the Facebook algorithm and get bad results. Okay. So let's share a breakdown example. So I remember in this example, I have 5 different images that I'm using for my creative. And you can see these are the CTR alls. Here's the CTR links. And it looks like I got 4 purchases in total, both of them coming from image 1 and 2. Okay, images 3 through 5 did not get any purchases.
So that's
then
easy.
We have some
cut those out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So then we've got below creative headlines. These are 2 of them. By the way, these are actual real numbers from one of our clients' ads. It was for leads instead of purchases, but I wanted to get something real. So headline 1 and 2, we have this for our CTR all. This is our CTR link for both of those. And then purchases, we got 1 here, 4 here. So it's interesting that that's 5 total. Let's just give this one 3. I think I messed that up. So for creatives, it's pretty clear that images 1 and 2 are the winner. For below creative headlines, it's clear that headline 2 is the winner. But we can only test one thing at a time, so which one do you choose? The rule of thumb here is to get down to one element in each category as quickly as possible. So I would roll with headline 2 for my next test and continue to build more data on all 5 images.
So now we've got 2 images that are the clear winner.
Right. So
would you now take the headline in conjunction with that clear winner and create a split test like that?
Not yet. So the first thing
caveat.
So the first thing that we want to do is we only want to, I'll share the process here. Here we go. Here's the process to make that change. Okay. So you have to duplicate the campaign that you have running. Do not change the one that's running because it will not perform if any changes are made to it. So instead of changing it, we duplicate it. Okay. On the new campaign, you simply delete headline 1. That way there's only headline 2 left, which will force the ad spend to allocate to the best below creative headline. All 5 images will still be there.
So this is important. Right now, you need to duplicate the one that's working, but don't shut it off and don't change the one that's working.
Well, the one that has all 5 images and both headlines, that one stays running. You duplicate it and you delete the headline that we're not going to use anymore, which is the headline 1. Delete that one.
Okay, so you duplicate it and you pull the things out on the second one.
Yeah, just one at a time.
You start pulling things out on a duplicate. So now you're doubling your ad spend on this test.
Right.
But you want to keep the one that's performing because this will all crash and burn. if you
Right.
shut off or change the first one.
And that's why I said when you start this dynamic thing, first campaign be at half your daily budget,
Right.
because you're going to
Right.
end up duplicating it to get to your full budget.
And so then you've got the one that's performing, and then you duplicate this other one, and then you'll find the winners in that one. You start cutting things out. You'll find the winners in that one, and then you'll duplicate the original or the one that the other one. So then you'll duplicate the new one and dwindle it down while keeping the base, while keeping the foundational one that started working in the first place.
You always leave the one that has the most results on it. Always leave it on, even when you do the next test, because you could have picked wrong. Like I've seen it happen before, where like headline 2 is winning for those 2 days, but then the next 2 days, all of a sudden headline 1 kicks in and starts kicking its butt.
Right. Algorithm,
Okay.
fun algorithm stuff. Okay. So
it's crazy.
So always keep the foundation, add another one, and then duplicate that one, shut that one off with the next duplicate.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read through this little part again. Okay, because this I know this is really confusing. It'll be a lot easier with a video explanation too.
Yeah.
So for creatives, it's clear that images 1 and 2 are the winners. For below creative headlines, it's clear that headline 2 is the winner. Which one do we test first? The rule of thumb is we want to get down to one element in each category as quickly as possible, but we can only test one thing at a time, right? So I would roll with headline 2 for my next test, okay, and continue to build more data on the 5 images. So here's the process to make that change. You duplicate the campaign that you have running. Do not make any changes to it. Duplicate it. On the new campaign, you simply delete the losing element. In this case, headline 1 is the loser. We delete it. So all that we're left with is headline 2 and the 5 images. Okay. Now you have 2 campaigns running, each at $15 per day. One is the original we started with. The next one is the new campaign without headline 1. So you run those 2 for 2 to 3 days, and you confirm which campaign is doing the best between those 2. Most of the time, the change that you make based on the data, it will beat the original. So you can turn off the original and then look at the images again on the latest and greatest one. And you might even end up with a tie between 2 to 3 images. That's totally fine, and it's totally normal. All you have to do is you duplicate the winning campaign, remove the obvious losing images, and you go for another 2 to 3 days. This process, you just do that every single 2 to 3 days. This process can take 1 to 2 months to hone in. Okay, but you're getting good results throughout that process. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're getting results while you're doing these weird tests. I know that's a lot.
It is. It's super, super rich and in depth. Like this is why people hire us to do it. By the way. You know, like this can be quite a lot. It can be overwhelming, but you know, we're not holding anything back. This is the process. This is what it looks like, and so, you know, we're here to help support you in understanding how to, you know, what we do, why we do it, and then ultimately, especially for those inner circle members, how, you know, like even I'm learning as we're going through this. So basically what I just heard is, you know, you keep the foundational piece until you have one that's performing better. And then you would keep the one that's performing better and dump the other ones that aren't performing. And it could be on the back and front. So that foundational piece, if it's not performing as good as the new one, you can piggyback off the new one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. Phase 3, retargeting. Now that you have a steady flow of cold traffic converting into leads or sales, it's time to get back in front of those who said no. That's where retargeting comes into play. Retargeting is the concept of showing an ad to someone who clicked on your ad but didn't purchase or didn't opt in as a lead. Okay, you can make 1 or 2 ads talking to that person directly to help encourage them to take action. For example, if someone clicked on my ABC supplement ad but didn't buy, I might make an ad that says something like this. I noticed you're still on the fence about ABC supplement. I get it. Does it really work? Is it worth the price? Is it just another supplement? Here's what some others have had to say about it. And then you put in some testimonials addressing the questions you just asked. Basically, they didn't buy because they have a question about the product or service. The retargeting ad can address those questions head on while using testimonials to prove it.
So this is a really great opportunity for elephant in the room, like diving deeper into it.
Yes. And this is when you get into phase 4, which is the final phase, which I'm calling Hook City. Okay. At this point, your message and initial hook is dialed in. All that's left for you to do is create new hooks over and over again to drive people to the same funnel. Those hooks could be a guide or a checklist. They could be a new video or sizzle reel about your product and service. It could be some sort of humor to get people's attention. By changing the hooks every 2 to 3 months, your content remains fresh and continues to drive the results. Your funnel and backend systems can remain intact for years just by changing the hooks. I remember buying a small course from Frank Kern and enjoying the course. A year later, I saw a really cool ad from him about a course, and I bought it as well. It was the same course. So I didn't even get a refund because I was impressed on how he did that. Okay. The new hooks made the product or service remain relevant and will continue to drive sales throughout the lifetime of the business.
So good.
I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this before.
Yeah. I did that actually with Billie Gina's marketing once.
Oh, really?
I was like, you jerk, I already bought this. Yeah. No, but that's great.
He's good at that. Him, Frank Kern does it. Peng Joon's really good at it too.
Yeah.
Anyway, you just went through all 12 chapters of Passion to Profits. This journey you chose has challenges. There will be times you want to quit and get back to a job. The reward on the other side, however, is beyond words. Okay, the freedom that comes from living passionately and independently is not something I can simply write down in a book. It's something that every human being should have the privilege of feeling and experiencing. This life is short. It's up to us to make the most out of it and to love every moment. You just took the first step on that journey. Congratulations.
Powerful. Man, that was intense. That's some deep, wide, like, that's, I don't know of anybody who has actually outwardly given this information for free on a podcast or anywhere like that. The amount of value that's in here. Do you have any idea how many thousands upon thousands of dollars that we've spent on online courses to be able to get access to variants of these types of ideas?
Yeah.
Like, we've taken from so many different sources, like, and what I mean taken, like emulated, okay, like not copying, okay, like, I mean, every single marketer, it's just like from a musician standpoint, okay, every single song has been written, but there's different variations of songs, right? Like we know that, right? And so it's the same thing in like any kind of content creation, any kind of book. You know, think and Grow Rich. There's so many people that have rewritten that same book. Like, even like honestly, a lot of our same principles that like, you know, Side Hustle Millionaire from Tony Watley. Like, that book is a beautiful book. Like, we're going into some different areas, but the mission, vision, value type stuff, like, we have a very matching kind of like purpose kind of focus, right? And so we've got a very similar message as our coach Tony Watley in a lot of those regards, right? And so, like, I have studied from everywhere, from who are some of the people that, like, before we dive into telling people how they can be a part of the Inner Circle group, who are some of the people that you've learned from, Zach,
oh my gosh,
that you could list? For me,
So many
I
beats.
would say Donald Miller. He's got a book called Story Brand. So that was a really big book for me. I've learned from Chris Rochlow, probably one of my bar none. Like uh, I
Top.
I find it a little hard to learn from him sometimes because he's so super smart, like
He's like on
so
another
incredible
plane.
on another playing field of intelligence. But that's also what pushes me to actually dive deeper into his content. Some people might find it a little hard because it is. You thought this was like Zach is like Zach's approach to kind of simplifying things here is very, very unique. So, and then there's Billy Gina's marketing. Uh, who else have I learned? Like a breakthrough advertising, like and that's a very expensive book. Okay. And we've actually kind of dove into some of those principles in this book. Okay. But ultimately, look,
For me, I learned a lot of what I know from Steve Larson. Chris Rushlow is definitely up there. I mean, he was actually my first copywriting instructor. One of my first courses I paid for was with him. Mark Lack, I've learned a ton of stuff from him. Man, there's like a ton. Rick Mulready is big on Facebook ads. I've learned a lot from him. Cat Howell, even, although
Cat Howell, yeah.
I have my own judgments on that, but it's still got some good stuff in it. So there's quite a bit.
Well, and even there's another guy that Donald Miller learned from, and a lot of what he teaches on is very similar to the pastor framework, the pastor method.
Yeah.
And so like, again, like we are kind of pulling our own interpretations of what we've learned and have applied it and kind of systematized it and put processes on it. Like I've never seen anybody with Zach's elephant method. His creative, what we just went over in terms of the dynamic creative.
Yeah, no one does the dynamic stuff. You won't find that anywhere else.
I've not seen a training on the dynamic creative aspects of things, the elephant method. And I can't tell you how many times we've used the elephant method to bring things home. So it's like, pulling like inspiration from each one of these people that we have to honorably share with you who we've learned from, right? Like, cause we didn't just start,
make it up.
This is the years upon years again, and thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of investment. And we continue to, okay, look, our passion is this is what we continue to do over and over and dive into. I'm reading Breakthrough Advertising again. Another book, Dan Henry's, Digital Millionaire Secrets. Like, and I can't tell you how many. Basically, read every one of Russell Brunson's books. Although I don't necessarily agree with absolutely everything that he says and does. Copywriting Secrets. That's by what's his name? Jim Edwards. That guy. A lot of what we're doing right now with this podcast is inspired by Jim Edwards and he's got a co-host that he hangs out with on his podcast and the way that they approach things. And I'm very, very inspired by that. What's another our favorite podcast? I Love Marketing. So
Joe Polish and
Dean Jackson.
Dean Jackson.
Yeah, Joe Polish, Dean Jackson. So like these are the people that we follow incessantly and that we soak information from. Tony Watley. We have the honor and privilege to literally work with him. Same thing with Chris Rochlow, one of our favorites. We have the honor and privilege to have worked with him and to be able to pick his brain every once in a while and have coffee.
Guys, I never 3-4 years ago, when I first started learning from Chris Rushlow, I never thought I would actually do some work for him or that I would actually have conversations with him on a Zoom call like this and like get his help or even present some of my things that I can help him with. I never thought that that would be a thing. And lo and behold, 4 years later, here we are, right? And it's amazing. It's so fun. That's what it's all about. Like, I'm serious. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and then that's that journey, like we said, and it's not linear, man. Like, and then like, if you're here to try and like make your fastest $1 million, like, I mean, I encourage you, keep working at building your passion into profits, but that's not solely what we're here for, right? That's not what we like. We love the journey. I love the journey. Like Gary Vee talks about this a lot. Like, take pride in your pains, take pride in the failures, love that process, right? Like, to me, there's no such thing as a failure.
Yeah.
Like, there's scenarios, and sometimes scenarios aren't exactly as sexy as we'd want them to be in specific seasons.
It's just feedback. There's no
It's
failure, just feedback.
totally. So, you shift, you pivot, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. That's, yeah. Like, if you look at it,
like, sorry, Brian. So here, like, this is actually why I got into business with Brian. I was making money, a lot of money, and it wasn't worth it. Okay. Because it's not always about the money. The money needs to be the side effect of you maintaining your mission, vision, values, focus, and impacting other people's lives. And it will, like, it will become the end result of that. It should not be, let me focus on the money, make a ton of it, but just be miserable my whole life. That's just not going to work out. I promise. I've been there.
and like, Tony, his message, becoming a side hustle millionaire, like, there's nothing wrong with having another job to support your business and build your dreams.
Yes.
That's great. But start building your dreams so you're not a victim to someone else's dream.
Right.
Right? Because
yep,
that's when you are working for somebody else, that's what you're doing. You're feeding their dream. And don't get me wrong, that might be enough. Maybe their mission, vision, and value system is something that you've got complete buy-in into, and it makes sense, and you'll be happy and fulfilled being in that position. All the power to you. This is this is not for everybody. This is for rockstar entrepreneurs and business leaders with that champion mindset that are aiming to ignite passion into the profession and drive purpose-driven success so they can do more of the things they love with the people they love most, so they can drive more impact and income. Yes. But that being the result of following through with your mission, your vision, your value systems. How do you even identify those things? That's at the beginning of this book. Okay. And so here we are. Let's dive into it really quick as we're tying this up. This is it. This is how you become a part of this awesome movement to get inner circle coaching. And I'll tell you, man, like, if I was telling this to someone, I got on some coaching sessions, with basically every one of our inner circle members, and we dove deep, man. Like, I helped them actionize a whole bunch of this stuff, and we're getting clear on more things this upcoming week. But ultimately, and a lot of them, I made their logo. And I'll tell you what, like, how much does it cost typically to get a logo professionally made? Maybe you can go on Fiverr and get it done for a few bucks or whatever, but I'll tell you.
Not really. I mean, even on Fiverr, you're looking at least $70. I mean, if you want a really good one, you're looking at $200 to $500.
Yeah, like one that is really going to speak. And again, the intentionality behind your message, a logo that's going to speak volumes behind your message, the design work, like all this stuff. Like, I've been paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to make, logo designs, copywriting, like the actual designs of the web page, the font, all that stuff, videos, you are into actionizing the how in the back end. It says my internet connection is unstable, but can you still hear me?
Yeah, you were a little bit choppy there, but I can hear you. You're good now.
Was that a little bit choppy, but you can still hear me? Okay, go. So anyways, this is running for 4 seasons this year before we release this book. And then we're diving into Ignite Impact Ignite Your Income in the next phase where we're literally going to be taking things to a whole nother level. But every season, we're taking you guys into deeper and deeper stuff. And this page is literally like, I know we've been talking about it for a long time, but this is literally being done this week for a new one for our inner circle members. And it's unique to them and everything that they're getting. But here's basically what this baseline says here. The book, the audio book, the copy of the book, the physical copy, we're saying that's a value of roughly, let's say $25. The course, $497 value for all the things that we're putting into this. I think that it'll easily be a $2,000 course by the end of this. Like if you can like just get a glimpse from what's in the book, just think about how much more is going to be there in terms of actionizing and back engineering the how. The weekly coaching, $3,600, man. Like, and I don't know if I'm putting that at a year or at, like, I would say at some point that'll be easily a month. Like, I feel confident that as we continue to do this and build this community and help people in these areas, that it's like insane, the value of the weekly coaching. Okay. And the fact is that we're jumping in every once in a while, doing one-on-one coaching. I think we're going to be offering at least one-on-one coaching a month. Unlimited websites, funnels, CRM, $97 a month value at the very least. We have clients that are paying for this software that you receive grandfathered access to, meaning no monthly payments for that. Okay. We've got clients that are paying up to $300 per month to get all of the features and all of the benefits from the software. Your name credited in the book as a co-founder. That's priceless. And we've got this valued at so far $5,286. And we're saying that the price is going up soon. And that now you get it for only $120 USD times 3 months, or a $300 one-time payment for the quarter. Okay. Now, again, the value of that is insane just in the software, but the implementation and figuring out, like, this software, like, don't get me wrong, like, it is, you know, there are layers once again, but when you get the hang of these things, and I've literally been showing and breaking it down with some of our inner circle members, showing them, and they're just like wide-eyed, like, oh my gosh, so empowered. Because when you start to use this software at its fullest potential, I'll tell you, we run our entire business off of it. Like, it's our straight up, all of our systems and processes, pretty much every single thing short of our finances is all done in here. And the front end of the finances is, because this is here, you know, this is how you receive payment through this portal right here. So you can go to go.convertoncommand.pro/passion-2-profits-now, or all one word without dashes. And you can go to go.convertoncommand.pro/passion-2-profits-now, and it'll bring you to this page. And you can sign up right here, right now, and start turning your passion into profits, your proactive passion. I'm not talking about getting lost in Netflix and running around like in a circle with your, like a chicken with his head's cut off, and, you know, frustrated, not knowing where to go next, and like feeling unfulfilled and unempowered and uninspired. But actually being able to be a part of a community that is actively in the trenches, and every week getting the coaching along the way together, being inspired, seeing people progress, and understanding through their progression that you can too. I don't know where you're going to get this type of value. Like, I've never seen anything like it. I wish that somebody did it for us, and that's why we're doing it. And so if you have any questions at all on this page, you can ask us anything. You can look at what people have to say. And if you want more context, we're going to be adding more of this, and of course, more testimonials here soon. But you can even just ask a question on this little button here. Like, I'm obviously on Zoom, but there's so much here for you to be able to understand and get to be able to make the most informed decision for you to be a part of this amazing community and turn your passion into profits. So is there anything else that you want to add there, Mr. Zach, other than jump in now?
Jump in now. This is insane. It's been a great first 12 weeks, and it's only going to get better from here. So now is the time to jump in, and you can be a part of this whole movement.
Awesome. And with that being said, too, by the fourth quarter, it is going to be 4 $197 one-time payment,
Yeah.
$197 a month. Okay, so at 120, what did we say here? It was
120.
120 times 3 months, or one-time payment of $300. You are grandfathered in at that rate, at that price. So jump in now. There's never been a better time than now, and we look forward to seeing you in season 2. Cheers, y'all.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Convert on Command podcast, sponsored by Convert on Command and Mission Ignition Marketing. If you want to ignite your business and increase your sales, be sure to visit convertoncommand.pro and set up a time that works best for you in the calendar at the bottom of the page under the latest feature video.